It's all about just sort of building those muscles, because I think the other thing that's changed dramatically is that awareness and discovery has blurred so much with consideration and conversion, right? That some things have gotten longer, some things have gotten shorter. You're seeing publications become affiliates, become marketplaces, right? That's a huge evolution, and it moves you out of growth marketing into commerce, and you have to bring those functions together now in a different way.
Welcome to the Jason and Scot Show, your source for the latest news and trends in the e-commerce industry. Featuring host Jason Retailgeek Goldberg, Chief Commerce Strategy Officer of Publicis, and Scot Wingo, co-founder and CEO of ReFiBuy. Here are...
Welcome to the Jason and Scot Show. I'm your host, Jason Retailgeek Goldberg, and as usual, I'm here with your co-host, Scot Wingo.
Hey, Jason. And welcome back, Jason and Scot Show listeners. We are coming live to you from the National Retailer Federation Nexus show here in Colorado Springs. You enjoying Colorado, Jason?
I really am. It's so fun to see all of my good friends in person, and I've gotten to hang out with you, and we're doing a bunch of this. When I say with my co-host, I actually mean with my co-host. I didn't want to make all the less fit people than me feel awkward, so I passed.
So we had to do some podcasting. Well, joining us today, we have a very special guest. Her name is Abby Weiss, and she is the SVP of Digital and E-Commerce, two of our favorite things, at Brooklinen. Abby, and this is her first podcast ever.
It is.
Woo! So this is very exciting. You're doing great so far.
Thank you so much.
Abby, one of our traditions on the show, we always like to start by getting a little background from the guest. I know that you have some really interesting experience before you came here. So tell us how you got your start in e-commerce and digital, and how you found yourself at Brooklinen.
Yeah, so I have been blessed with happy accidents in my career, I would say. So I started early years of digital marketing at an agency, right place, right time, when all of the brands were starting to run their own e-com sites, like to the point where we debated at the agency, do we call it digital marketing, e-marketing, online marketing? Like we didn't know what to call ourselves. Did that for a few years and sort of moved from channel specialty to account strategy. Eventually ended up at a website design and build shop, doing client strategy, sort of coaching on the projects, helping everyone make good choices. And from there, I ended up at Demandware, which was probably the critical turning point in my career. So was there during the glory days on the New York team with all the New York clients, New York sales team. Spent 3 years at Demandware working on some of our largest accounts. I'll name drop in a minute. Left during the Salesforce acquisition and went to a startup for a few years that was retail tech, not e-com tech. And I desperately missed the pace of e-com tech versus back office retail tech, and went around to a bunch of my old clients from the Demandware days, like, who's cool in tech? Where do I go? And L'Oreal said the craziest thing. They said, come work here. And we kind of looked at each other for a minute and said, okay, let's try it. And so what I thought would be an experiment, I ended up being there for 7.5 years. By the time I left just almost exactly a year ago, I was running direct-to-consumer for the US market, which is the largest market for direct-to-consumer at L'Oreal. Had sort of grown and evolved the program from a team of 1 to a team of 20. It was fantastic. I learned more there than I've ever learned. And Brooklinen came knocking. And I think sometimes you have this moment of, do I, don't I? Do I want to do something different? What does the next chapter of my career look like? And Brooklinen just ticked every single box about what the next chapter of my career could look like. So I'm coming up on a year in 2 weeks. And it's been amazing. It's been a roller coaster of learning, which is my favorite kind of roller coaster. And it's been great.
At L'Oreal, did you have all the brands under your purview or just the L'Oreal?
So L'Oreal is like a heavily matrixed organization. So every brand runs their own day-to-day site and operations and P&L. I was at the corporate level. So I worked on sort of strategy, best practice, setting everyone up for success and representing the US market in global decisions, where you can imagine that's a controversial role at times.
Sounding name, that may not have been an easy win.
So it was more corporate strategy, center of excellence, but the tech stack in its totality was owned by me and my team on the business side.
And then we should say we know the Brooklinen CEO really well.
Yeah, Billy May, the CEO, a very good friend of the show, our very first guest. And it was weird that we had the foresight to do this, but that was like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, we're willing to have you on, but only on the promise that one day when you're finally successful and you hire competent people, that you have to give them permission to come on. And so he's finally paying back that debt that he's owed us.
I'm honored that I am the promise there.
You are. Yeah, we finally get someone that can chat up a storm here. Did Billy hire you?
Billy did hire me. Yes, so we do all of our recruiting internally, which is amazing. So we built this amazing team and culture that's really sort of Brooklinen. And so they reached out to me. Like I said, I had just built this amazing team at L'Oreal. I honestly was like, I don't know if I want to go. And every conversation I had with Brooklinen, they just won me over a little more to the point where it was like a no-brainer decision.
Billy's very persuasive in a stealth persuasion.
Yeah, we have an amazing executive leadership team. So I think they each persuaded me that I was joining something special at a really exciting time in the brand's history.
Do you report right to Billy or?
I do report right to Billy.
Good. And then tell us the Brooklinen story.
Brooklinen was founded in 2014. In Brooklyn, we were one of the first digitally native disruptor brands in the bedding category, or the home category, really. The promise of bringing hotel quality sheets to consumers. That was our founder's sort of mission. Today, we are a premium home essentials lifestyle brand, honestly. We play in lots of categories. We are inspired by how people live their lives at home and in the bedroom now, starting with a great bed, but really you will have a great bathroom and, great throw blankets with us too.
I feel like they inadvertently exceeded their goal, because I feel like the original goal was hotel quality bedding, but now as a Brooklinen loyalist that sleeps on your product every night, I'm always sad when I go to a hotel because I feel like I'm stepping down. And then I'm going to add one piece to the Brooklinen story. Bucket list item for me that I'll never accomplish is to host Saturday Night Live. But
we could get you a robe, though.
Yes. The next best thing, when you host Saturday Night Live, you get a cool host ultra plush robe, and I have it on good authority that is one of your products.
It is. So there are super plush robes in every host's dressing room before Saturday Night Live. And it's a great angle for the brand, and it's been really well embraced. It's been a really fun partnership.
When you started, was digital, so Brooklinen started digital and you've opened stores. Where does digital sit in the priority list now?
We are a digitally first brand.
Yeah.
You'll see it in our footprint. Stores is increasingly important to us, and it's a growth channel for us for sure, but we are a predominantly e-commerce business, and that's very intentional.
Increasingly, digital means different things to different people, right? And so I think of you as a OG digital native brand, right? And so obviously you have a very meaningful direct-to-consumer business on your owned property. Increasingly, I meet digital brands that they're digital, but they may think of Amazon as their primary point of distribution, or if it's a young enough company, maybe it's even TikTok Shop. I know you're experimenting with some of those other platforms, but I don't think they were your first platform. Is that
true? We are a direct-to-consumer company at its core, and I think that there's sort of two blurs there, right? Direct-to-consumer company is e-com and owned retail. Digitally first brand is direct-to-consumer and other online shopping platforms, right? So I think that's what's really cool about my role, is that it really is sort of in between all of those lanes. And I think based on the story I told you about how I got here, like I love kind of being in between lanes. That's where I thrive. I love being with customers and everything I learned from customers and sort of being able to apply that with different stakeholders. So we're absolutely not direct to consumer only when we talk about e-commerce. There are other channels that we're experimenting with. We've also expanded the definition of what direct to consumer is, right? So D2C, we also have a B4B business that has an e-com footprint, working in hospitality, Airbnb hosts, right? Other sort of places that have repeat high traction business, where our products are a perfect fit when you're trying to do self-expression in, these properties and make them stand out. Our product is amazing for that. And we're also leaning heavily into the trade space, especially with like interior designers, where again, you've hired someone to help you build this beautiful space. And Brooklinen product is so perfect for those custom, unique spaces. We say our mission is a home that feels like you. And self-expression can be hard to tackle online and in the bedding category, right? You see so many beds that are, I hate to use this word, it's punny, but kind of sleepy, right? You see a lot of all white beds, all gray beds, all cream beds. And like we really aspire to be the brand that lets you express yourself. And so bridging that community, that experience with the design community is so natural that we're really starting to lean in and nurture that. We moved that trade experience from our B2B, kind of experience onto our direct to consumer experience recently, so that the full assortment is there to make sure that interior designers can pull from the best of Brooklinen and all of our seasonality and color and pattern and fun to give their customers the best, the best home that feels like them.
And I'm always curious about those business expansions. Like, was that, hey, we would love to win over the interior design community, so we're gonna start an organic offering and reach out? Or were you looking at all your sales and you're like, some subset of these sales look different than the other sales, and it turns out organically all these designers were finding you and choosing you, and then you just had to make the explicit decision to try to serve them more directly?
Yeah, so it's probably a little bit of both. I would say the discovery of the cohort and the decision to serve the cohort predates me, predates Billy, right? That's a channel that we knew was out there, but we put it in this B2B sort of classification. As we thought more about it and really said, this is an opportunity that already exists. I think we've had over 2,000, customers in this bucket transact with us in the last 2 years. So the demand was there. Now that we're thinking, even more intentionally about customer experience and what it would mean to give this cohort the best experience possible, we made some really intentional decisions around how to bring that to life. So we moved it from a B4B channel to a more direct-to-consumer enabled channel. We have spun up sort of dedicated email support, dedicated phone line for those customers to call in, so it can be a little more high touch. We're really thinking about CX in the context of this cohort. We're also thinking about retail in the context of this cohort. So we automated sign up, so it's a lot easier. There's signage in all of our stores. We opened a footprint at the Pacific Design Center in LA, which is a new pilot for us. Yes, it's physical retail, but it's really designed to bring that interior design trade community in and get our product in front of them, so it becomes a no-brainer decision for them. But so we've extended how we touch that cohort in all of our channels in a much more intentional way. So we knew they were there. They were already shopping with us. We want to make it a better experience for them now.
Do they get a different type of a digital experience, like maybe a different, like way more customizations than the normal consumer would? It can be overwhelming. So there's this kind of balance between. Yeah.
So right now it's the same experience on site, but if they want to do additional customization, that's what the customer service line is there for. So if they do have a really specific request, they can get that guidance on what we can and can't do for that community.
How does that, so that starts to feel like fast fashion at that point? Like how do you guys, this may be outside of your realm, but how do you deliver on that? That seems like that'd be very hard.
It's new. We've just sort of re-enabled this. I think CX has always been involved in this in the background. We're now just formalizing it as a true partnership. I think we would be so lucky to see the demand be so high that we have to change how we operate it, right? That would be like a Hail Mary kind of outcome that I'm ready for.
Yeah, first world problem.
Exactly. I hope that the volume is so extreme and these designers are so happy with us that they want more access to our teams.
Every time I talk to you, I'm always impressed by the number of initiatives you're juggling. So you've got trade, B2B, you've got your standard consumer, but within the traditional consumer digital side, what big initiatives are top of mind for Brooklinen?
Yeah, so my team would make fun of me if we were playing like Abby Bingo. They do this sometimes.
Is that a drinking game? Or
yeah, every time I say this word, we just like throw one back. I'm pretty sure if you pulled them and asked them like what one word, my word is ease. So anything that makes it through the filter either needs to make something easier for the customer or easier for the team. Brooklinen grew really fast. And so there's a lot of processes that compensate and, there's a lot of manual work that we want to make faster so that we free up time for the more, exciting, innovative stuff. And so we're constantly looking for ways to make things easier internally and easier for the customer. So that's sort of my like filter. It doesn't necessarily boil down to one initiative or another initiative, because to your point, there are so many things we could be doing. I think everyone is probably overwhelmed by the number of signals and ideas that are out there. So that's like my number one criteria. Like, does this make something easier? And that could be at any point in the journey. It could be in any channel. But it's my bench.
Don't come to Abby unless it's going to make something easy.
Exactly. If it's going to make something harder, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah. It's a hard pitch. Abby, I've got this idea. It's going to make everything harder.
Right. Tell me.
For the customer and internally.
I want to know all about it. When do we start?
I'm super curious. You're in a lifestyle category, discovery. Like, in the old days, you'd be going to a showroom. I started my digital career at Razorfish in the merchandise mart, and it was a super expensive place to work because you walked by all these beautiful showrooms every day.
I used to joke about that when I moved back to Manhattan and I lived in Novita. I was like, I cannot leave the house with my wallet. Like, it's dangerous.
I just had a huge inferiority complex. I think increasingly that's not where people are discovering cool new lifestyle things. And of course, social has exploded. Your old employer, L'Oreal, is all in and sort of a black belt at social. And so I'm sort of expecting you're going to say it's an important part of discovery at Brooklinen. And I'm just curious, like what are the tactics that work the best for you? How do you think about discovery? Are you thinking about selling stuff like directly attributed to those channels, or is it a top of funnel attribution channel for you? How do you think about it?
Yes, I think is the answer to all of that, right? The landscape has changed so dramatically in terms of where you show up, how you show up, what it costs to show up, what muscles you need to build in order to show up. So it's kind of a yes. We have a large affiliate presence. We have a large influencer presence. Brooklinen has over 150 industry awards. So we, have this sort of great foundation of recognition that is hugely valuable in the new discovery economy. We have done some amazing partnerships with brands that are like-minded that get us exposures. Some of those are collaborations. Some of those are just partnerships. We are obviously making sure we're as ready as we can be on the agentic side for whatever comes next from that, which is, I think, something we can all admit is a bit of a question mark. What comes of it?
I was hoping you were going to
not say AI at all.
Just yes. Next okay, tell us what's
step
coming next.
one. No, just kidding. It's all about just sort of building those muscles, because I think the other thing that's changed dramatically is that awareness and discovery has blurred so much with consideration and conversion, right? That some things have gotten longer, some things have gotten shorter. You're seeing publications become affiliates, become marketplaces, right? That's a huge evolution, and it moves you out of growth marketing into commerce, and you have to bring those functions together now in a different way. So all of these things are just becoming so much more, the edges are getting blurred between functions in a way that I think can be uncomfortable, but I actually love, because that's where I spent a lot of my time. But it makes you think about all of these opportunities with a really different criteria set from how you would have tested into them before.
Yeah, that's a good entry into how do you set up your team? What are kind of the buckets that your team operates in?
My team?
Yeah.
So my team has 4 pillars. I have our engineering team, which is a lot of things. We actually recently moved, so that we're looking not just at our website. I think that's sort of like a big thing with e-commerce. It can become the website. And so we are not the website. We're really looking at end-to-end tech from discovery all the way through to the customer getting her order. How do we make sure that we're solving when an opportunity comes in and we identify that it is easy? How do we then make sure that it's not easy for one team, but it's easy for all the teams to sort of see that through? So that's one team. Second team is what I call our e-com team. My whole team is called the e-com team, so maybe that's a little misleading, but I call them our e-com team. It's really our commercial team, and they have 3 pillars. So one that's really focused on site and go to market and commercialization of our channels, and really sort of tied to the day-to-day. And then we've got our digital product team, and we've got our UX and product design team. Then we have CX, which has all the things you would think a CX team has. And then we have this new B4B trade sort of growth channel pillar as well.
Nice. How big in a range? How big is your team?
25 to 50? More than 25. How about that?
Yeah, great. Yeah. That's good. Did you manage that many people at L'Oreal, or is this kind of a new thing?
It's slightly bigger than my team was at L'Oreal. But like I said, when I moved into that corporate function at L'Oreal, I had a 0.5 FT on my team. By the time I left,
a lot of influence.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's what happens with net new roles. But by the time I left, it was a team of 20. So, pretty good growth.
Absolutely. I'm always curious on the new initiative, on the B2B to C, is that mostly Brooklinen veterans that kind of pivoted to this new thing? Did you hire from the outside? Is it a blend of both? Like, how did you build up that new capability?
Yeah, it's a blend. I have actually, between some of my teams, I think I have some of the most tenured employees at Brooklinen. We have someone coming up on their 10 year.
Oh, wow.
This year. I have some 8 years, some 7 years, some 4 years. So it's a real mix. And then we've also brought in some amazing external talent to help us with things we haven't done before. I'm the first one to admit when there's something I haven't done before and like how far I can take us sort of strategically. But when it gets down to sort of building, you need some inputs of people who've done some of this stuff before. So we've had amazing success bringing in external talent and marrying it with all of the incredible tenured internal battle wounded, Brooklyn and people who've seen this company grow from 10 employees to, what we are today and did that COVID wild ride that, we sort of, got the luxury of being on the other side of. But yeah, so my team is actually a really good mix of sort of internal folks who've stayed for the long ride and some amazing new talent that we've been able to bring in.
The 10 years are essential because when you have a question for like, why is it this way? They'll actually
they'll
know why.
The why is it this way is like, it's one of the hardest things to figure out because you have to sort of remember it's so easy to come in and be like, I don't think this makes any sense. But if you ask the question differently, like, tell me why we do it this way, it usually makes a ton of sense based on the moment in time when the decision was made and the options that were in front of someone. And the tech has just moved so much further ahead, or the way we operate the business is now so much different that we can ask for a different answer to the question. But knowing what the trade-offs were when the decision was made the first time is like huge.
Yeah, it helps you also understand, well, if I try to fix that thing, what are the where's the ripple effect going to be?
1,000%. What other teams were considered in this decision? Like all of that.
And what fix are you going to inadvertently wipe out that you didn't even know?
Completely. I came in with like a couple like really big ideas, and like some of them they were like, yep, okay, let's work through this. And some of them they were like, we're going to give you a little bit of a history class. It doesn't mean we don't look into it, but let us tell you a little bit more of the story. And I was like, cool, I got the story now. Thank you so much.
I actually have a new cohort I want to pitch you.
Okay.
So you've got your consumers, you've got your pros, right? And when you talk about pros, I'm picturing like for-pay interior designers where a homeowner pays the designer and the designer decks out the bathroom and makes it this personal oasis, right? With the advent of social, I think increasingly there are micro-influencers that are the tastemaker in your circle of tennis friends or the tastemaker on your street, right? And so we all know there's one friend who we admire their taste more, and it's not a job, but like, oh man, I'm gonna go redo my bedroom. I wanna make sure that Ellen gives me the stamp of approval. And when I think about the affiliate program and you have all the raw elements there, and I'm going to disclose a secret to you.
This idea. Are you this person in your group of friends?
I'm the person.
I don't think that's a secret.
It's me.
Yeah, I seek that person out. I used to work for a big client in the automotive industry, automotive parts. So if you sell parts to people that fix their own car, you sell parts to professional mechanics that fix other people's cars. They used to talk about this fleet manager. And they're like, oh, the fleet manager does this, the fleet manager does that. Scott worked in the auto industry and they had a lot of fleet managers. I pictured fleet manager as like the guy that owns the fleet of 20 car delivery vans for the company and keeps them all running. That's not what they meant. The fleet manager is the one guy on the block that knows how to fix cars and fix all of his neighbors' cars.
We have a lake house, and there's a guy and I call him Lake, because anytime anything breaks, I'm like, we got to call Lake Dad.
Yeah.
We played around with this at L'Oreal actually a little bit, because you can imagine like that beauty influencer, actually the more microcosmic it is to you, the more relevant. So I'm very open to looking into this. I think it's a great idea. I cannot tell you it's at the top of my list right now. It hadn't, but I'll credit you when I come back on the podcast.
It could be very easy.
Is this easy or hard? I would say this is hard because it took Jason 30 minutes to pitch it. Therefore, it can't be easy if the pitch is that long.
Yeah, I don't know if it passes my right now easy test.
Fair.
But again, things that don't pass the easy test doesn't mean they like are wiped completely. It means they go through iteration to see how it can become easy. Right?
Yeah. Some things are hard today and then seem easy tomorrow.
Exactly.
Agentic commerce used to seem really hard, and then Scott started ReFiBuy, and now it's easy.
Boom.
Yeah, and then the platform said, we're not actually going to do checkout and platform, and it got even easier.
Yeah, no, it's a discovery thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then Google changed their mind too. So here we are.
Yeah.
On that topic, we did publish. So I was always a fan of the IR 1000, the Internet Retailer 1000, which started as the 500, and then it was 1000 and then 2000. And then it still exists. They split the company apart, but the IR 1000 still exists as part of Digital Commerce 360. And we did a partnership with them where we take the IR 1000 when it comes out, and it just came out for this year, and then we run it through an Agentic Commerce readiness filter. And in there, and I had them check this like many times because I didn't want people to think we were cooking the books or anything, but Brooklinen came out as number 5. And in the IR 1000, you're like number 333. And that's just like stacked by revenue against all other retailers. Yeah. And you over time, you've started like off the list and like have shot up to, which is like no small feat. And then when we dig into that, there's things you're doing a lot of the basics. Like you're not blocking the bots. That's like the number one thing a lot of people do. And I imagine because you have this heritage in betting, you have to really describe your product really well. And if you're going to help people understand how much better it is than standard sheets up to that hotel and beyond quality, you have to talk about many things people have questions about that people used not to talk about thread count. I hadn't heard about thread count until I think maybe you guys came on the scene. I don't know. And then all the different Egyptian things and all this kind of jazz. Is that purposeful, or is it just kind of you just hitting the easy button made it easy for agents to find things?
I wish I could say it was an easy button. It wasn't an easy button.
The only allowing things that make the customer's journey easier. Does that inadvertently make the agent's journey easier?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. We've been very intentional on this. So I'm super excited to be able to go back and tell the cross-functional team that works on our SEO and agentic readiness sort of team, because it is super cross-functional, as I'm sure you can imagine. That this is how they scored, because you get these other indicators, and it's really hard to figure out the right way to measure your readiness, especially when the traffic is unpredictable still, right? And hard to sort of identify some of the time. So no, this is very intentional, and was a body of work that we actively undertook to make sure that we were, to your point, like the first thing technically ready. Can the bots read all the information that we are making available so that when a question comes in, the content is legible, right? The legibility of the platform. The second is then about the content that we're producing, right? So the content we already have, great, that's legible. What incremental content do we need to sort of surface in this question answer economy? And that's been, a collaboration with our CX team, with our social team, with our e-com team, with our merch team, with anyone who knows anything about our products or gets intake from customers, like they're part of that work stream. And then I think the last piece, which I know you look at a lot, is sort of catalog readiness as like a separate from like site readiness. And I think that's sort of the last piece that we've been, really trying to do a lot of work on. Like I said, where it all goes is a bit of a question mark for us right now, but knowing that everything we've been producing is coming to life the way it should is great. The other thing I always come back to is that all of this was done on top of the fact that we are a love brand. And I think that's like the piece that you can't force. We have a heritage of just being a brand that people love. I think you even heard it. I sat down at the table yesterday. I tell people I work at Brooklinen, and the number one thing they say is, I love Brooklinen. I sleep on your sheets every night. That's just what happens, and you can't manufacture that in the short term. So that comes with all these industry awards. It comes with 150,000 5-star reviews. These are all signals that you can't spin up overnight, but you've been building over a long time. And so to then do the readiness on top of that just gave us we were starting from a higher floor than a lot of other brands start from.
Yeah, I love that you're pulling the contextual signals from across the org, because most other retailers are so siloed, they would never think to talk to the CX group about agentic commerce.
Yeah.
So we just did I know Billy forwards these to you. We just did a big series, and we call it context capture, and how important it is to, not stay in just your little digital e-commerce silo. And there's people are even missing context in there of, what are people searching for? What are the null search results? How do we piece together that? Because you could have some influencer that's just talking about your sheets unpaid, and people are trying to come and figure out, okay, that influencer name, Queen Set, and so tying all that back into the overall picture, and then you can, if you want, you can put some of that on the PDP, or maybe I believe you have a really nice Q&A section in there, so that's perfect. The agents now have opened up a whole lane for that.
Very, very intentional, and that historically that FAQ section was CX owned. It's now SEO, AEO, GEO, CX owned, right? So it's collectively built.
Is that the actual title in your company?
Yes.
That's incredible. Those guys are beating me.
That's a long title. You would love that.
Throw ACO in there too. I'll give you none.
I mean, sure, why not?
So obviously here, everybody's talking about AI. We've talked about AI for discovery. I'm always curious, other than the offsite initiatives and make sure that all the bots can discover you, are there any sort of on-site initiatives that you're excited about or interested in, have either already tried or are thinking about trying in the agentic space?
Yeah, so I was really fortunate. I inherited our CX team, who have been leaders in this space for years, early adopters of AI consumer interface, on phone, on email, on chat. We were able to then layer in AI for QA of that versus having it be a manual tool, and then bridging, the AI CX experience on site into more of a commerce, finding sort of that harmony between the two is definitely something that we're sort of playing with, iterating and testing into, bringing our retail field associates into that conversation. How do you, if a customer comes in with this question or this ask, where do you point them? What's your follow-up question, right? You're doing this every day. So really thinking about that. Going back to my ease, I'd love to see this become friction reduction. You identify friction, you serve something. What did my CX leader, she just called me block the bounce, right? And I love that. It's exactly what it is, right? Keep them there, help them get to yes. It's a hard category. To your point, you have to make a lot of decisions in that purchase journey. You have to be fairly educated on fabrications and what they feel like, and is the color going to match? And these are all micro decisions that you have to make, in a single space. So how do we just make that easier? And yes, there's content. Yes, there's UX, but we also have this great new tool in front of us that can anticipate. And how do we sort of teach it to anticipate and when to engage?
Do you have a favorite AI you use? Are you like a Claude person or ChatGPT person?
I use ChatGPT at home. At work, I use Gemini, but I call her Gemini because we do a lot together. So I reference her a lot. So Gemini and I were working on this.
Do you give her a personality? My daughter, hers has a wacky personality.
No, she doesn't have a personality, but we are a team. And then Claude is obviously heavily adopted by my teams. And so I try and make sure I'm at least more informed there and trying to think through how they're using it and just building up a little more familiarity. But
The engineering team's probably.
My engineering team's on there, my UX team, my digital product team, right? And it helps them all talk to each other too.
I think it's good you sample kind of all three.
I use them for different things too, right? Like it costs different things to use each of them, so I don't need to ask like Claude to do the same things that Gemini and I do.
It's very meta, but like, so I use a number of them for different things, right? And I have like the tool I use for deep think and the tool I use for, quick ad hoc things. And the meta thing is to ask the tools which tool you should use for which thing.
And make them really self-reflect.
Yeah. And they give kind of candid answers. Like
Perplexity has a thing where it's called a council, I think, where it will go ask all the models and then it'll come back and say, here's where they agree, but they kind of disagree in this area. It's really interesting.
Yeah, for the people that feel like they aren't burning enough tokens.
Right.
You're like, burn all the tokens.
I will say, like, don't love when, I forget which one it is, we'll come back with, like, because they're working on their model, here's 2 responses, which one do you like better? Because then I just feel like I have to do more work, and I went to you so that I didn't have to. I find, like, I get the theory, but I'm like, I just want the answer.
Yeah, it'd be like us in digital doing an A/B test and asking the consumer, which of these PDPs do you like the most?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
It would not do well for
You
conversions.
you should opt in to being part of that test panel. You should not.
Yes, I think you should be opted in or opted out to that. Because there's probably someone who's like, I love when you ask me this and I'm helping with the future of AI answers. And
problem is, so to get nerdy, they can't close the loop, right? So they don't know which one you liked better because there's no feedback. On e-commerce, because there's a transaction or there isn't. So conversion is the closing of the loop, and they don't have the conversion.
To get super wonky, the economists that are designing the experiment would tell you that when you only have opt-in respondents, like that also is skewing the results.
Yeah.
So I get
that's true.
Yeah, but you have to balance. I want to learn as much as I can too, and I love all of those instrumentation tools. You have to balance that with getting in the way of the person that's there to accomplish a mission.
Yeah.
And like I'm always gonna pick like
Easy.
helping her solve ease.
Easy.
As I've learned
See?
from my new digital mentor.
That does not pass the Abby easy filter.
I feel like when you're an undergrad, we call it ease, right? And then if you get a master's in usability, it becomes friction. And if you get a PhD, it's affordance.
Oh, I don't have a PhD. That's what I just learned.
Yeah. So we need to create better affordance for this feature.
You basically just said I only have a bachelor's degree, is what I heard.
He doesn't have a PhD either.
College dropout, so I just be...
We're in my college town right now.
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
that's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Gonna go get some merch or
I have merch.
go run around the quad?
Probably not. It's very hot out.
Hit your
In
favorite
my
bars?
old stomping grounds.
Yeah, fun.
It is a good place. I imagine it was a good place to go to college.
It's a great place to go to college.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap, any other big initiatives you want to highlight?
The most important things for us right now, it's it's that customer experience and thinking about each customer and what they need and sort of just like I'm a broken record, but just making it easier for them at every touch point is really what like drives my day every day.
Yeah, and if folks want to learn more about what you're up to, you're on LinkedIn and it's ABBIE. So there's a Scot with one T. I'm sure you spell your name a lot. And you go through spurts. Sometimes you'll be quiet. So I'm like, oh, Abby's head's down. And then you'll like post. So
did you know that Scott was carefully monitoring your publishing pace?
I did not know that. I will be more...
I would be
Was
super
it better to
self-conscious.
keep you on your toes, or do you want a constant
Well, you're just
stream?
hilarious. So I always like, you and I got seated at a dinner next to each other, and I had no idea who you were, and it was like the best dinner ever. It was just like you had me knee slapping, and
It's the best compliment I could get.
yeah, it was fun.
It's so funny. You went home from that thing and you were telling your family, I had the best dinner ever. And Abby went home and went, this was such a dud.
I didn't. It was a great
All
dinner.
this guy did was talk
actually
about
a great
Agentic
dinner.
commerce.
No, it was a great dinner because remember we were sitting with someone, I'm not going to out him on his role, but he was like, my ChatGPT definitely does not know my name. Like I've been really, really careful about not. And he was like, I'm going to ask. And he was like, do you know my name? And he was like, this is your name. And he was like, oh,
I was like, it 100% knows your name.
we were like,
He's like, no, there's a
absolutely knows
firewall.
your
There's
name.
there's a firewall. I
It
cannot know my
definitely
name.
does not know my name.
I was like, did you pay for it?
It's like, it totally knows your name.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
We were right, it knew his name.
Yeah, he got very angry. He's like, I'm going to call somebody. I was like, you call Sam Altman right now and you give him what for?
Yeah, I remember that very clearly. I was like, oh, it's so sweet. You think he doesn't know your name?
I think he was just leaning into the right to be forgotten.
I think that's what he said. He was like, I've told it to forget my name, so it's forgotten my name. And we were like, okay.
Yeah. Bless your heart is how they say it in the South.
Yeah.
Well, Abby, we really enjoyed talking to you. It's happened again. We've used up all our allotted time. So thank you very much for your time, and thanks for sharing some of your wonderful experience with Scott and I and our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me.
You did awesome on your first podcast.
Thank you so much.
We would love to have you back.
Now I'm a veteran.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to warn you, it's all downhill from here.
Okay.
You basically started at the very pinnacle.
Other podcasts.
Okay, so just say no to all other podcasts
Absolutely.
from this point on. Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone's been no, but don't tell them not to like invite me on. I still want to be invited.
No, yes.
I still want to be invited.
Yes. And until next time, happy commercing.
You've been listening to The Jason and Scot Show. For all the latest news and trends on e-commerce and shopper marketing, subscribe to us in iTunes or visit jasonandscott.com.